Alright, nice slow start to my morning. Let's see, maybe we should check some emails, see if anything's going on there. Oh, there is a sponsorship opportunity, but it's with Fossum, not Tubi. I'm gonna have to let them down gently. How do I do this? Dear Fossum, I'm sorry, but I cannot accept this sponsorship. Tubi is my one and only true love. I will forever be waiting for them, even if it takes me to my deathbed. And send. Okay. Oh, we have some fan mail too. STARGUTZZZ. I know that you usually review horror movies, but I was thinking maybe you can branch out into some scary websites. Check this one out. Okay. Hello?
You're gonna die!
It's a Friday once again.
Hello, my fellow freaks, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having such a great week. It is time for us to talk about yet another movie, and as I promised last week, if you were here last week, if you are new, hello, hi. But last week, I promised you guys a bad, horrible movie, and I'm not talking just like so bad it's good. It's been a while since we looked at a dog shit film. And I feel like we were getting a few too many like good reviews in a row. So here I was going to look for a really shitty, terrible movie to review. Something that we can give like a really bad tier to, because I feel like it's been a while. I feel like it's been a while since we looked at something just god awful. I think I delivered this week. I think I really delivered this week. There were a few different options, and there was like an entirely different film that I was going to choose like in the first place. But then I landed on this one, and I thought it would be perfect for the channel. A lot of the reviews on IMDb, that's the platform that I use the most, a lot of the reviews were between 2 and 3 stars, not really going beyond 3. And the synopsis that it gave, well, it just felt like it was very fitting for my channel, since I do also, you know, cover some disturbing media. Just a little by the way for the people who are maybe sticking around for the disturbing content. A little bit more news on that in the future. And the film that I have landed on to cover for a week of a bad movie, because I think we've been having too many good ones lately. I've been giving out too many good ratings. We need something terrible for once. And that something terrible is going to be Feardotcom from 2002 and directed by William Malone. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that I have watched a video on this movie before. Something about it sounds really familiar, and what is especially familiar is the fact that this is Feardotcom.com, by the way. But I'm pretty sure I've seen a video of somebody reviewing this and making the joke of it being Fear.com. That's ridiculous, it is. But I can't remember whose video I watched on it. Is it possible that like has Mr. Gigi done a video on it? If not him, potentially, oh god, what's his name? Your Movie Sucks? But it doesn't matter. I have seen somebody cover this movie before, because I remember them talking about Fear.com. You would think that's the most ridiculous part of this movie. It's not. Excuse me. In fact, this movie is so bad, it has not left my mind since the first time that I watched it. I've had to watch this 3 times now, and part of that third time was just to make sure that I'm not the one being an idiot. I had to make sure that this movie really is as incomprehensible as I figured it was the first 2 watches. I had to make sure so I don't look like a complete and utter fool when I review this. This movie has given me such a headache. Like, it gives me a headache when I start thinking about and talking about the specifics of this film. It is aggravating, it is frustrating, it is confusing. Let's just, you know what? let's just get right on into the review. But first, if you are new here, hi, my name is STARGUTZZZ. Any crashing or loud noises that you hear going on in the background are my cats. And my reviews here tend to be more of a discussion of elements that I believe are good or bad about a movie, rather than just giving you like a play-by-play of everything that happens. So in other words, I try to refrain from spoilers as much as possible. However, they will arise as they pertain to the discussion, and I'm gonna warn you right now that my discussion on Feardotcom is pretty much all spoilers, okay? This is gonna be one of the rare instances where you can't really discuss this movie without spoiling a lot of it. You'll see once we start getting into it. But like, this is a really bad movie from 2002, so do the spoilers really matter? Do the spoilers really matter for this one? I think everyone here is just ready for me to rag on it, and I am too. But if you do care about spoilers, and if you would like to watch Feardotcom before the rest of this review, you can do it on our best friend Tubi. I will have the link in the description so it is that much easier for you to access this film and go out to watch it. I am not sponsored by Tubi. I wish to be one day, so Tubi, if you are listening, I adore your platform. Almost every video that I have reviewed on this channel so far has been through Tubi, so manifesting. With all of those pleasantries out of the way, let's jump right into this god-awful movie review. After a string of sudden and mysterious deaths, Detective Mike and some random DOH lady, Terry, begin to investigate their causes. The pair are led to a dark, deep website titled Feardotcom, which each victim visited 48 hours before their demise. Also, there's a guy doing Red Room stuff, and his involvement in all of this is barely hanging on by a thread. Basically, I just want you to imagine a knockoff of The Ring, but it's through websites rather than a videotape. Ironically, by the way, this and the American version of The Ring came out in the same year. So imagine a knockoff of The Ring, and then also just randomly a bunch of elements taken from Saw. That is essentially what this movie is. And I don't feel like there's a great way to give a synopsis of this film, mostly because, you know what, it's gonna be easier if I just go ahead and get into it and get started. So let us start off with the fact that Feardotcom is attempting to force, not even just put, but force two completely different concepts into like a linking same detective crime narrative, and it doesn't work. Imagine someone trying to force a puzzle piece into a spot that it very obviously doesn't fit in. That's what watching this movie is like. It's almost more like there are two different stories going on, and they're desperately clinging at how to connect them. So the main narrative that we are following along with is this supernatural cursed website, Feardotcom, cursing the viewers and causing them to die 48 hours after visiting the site. Again, very blatant, The Ring knockoff. Okay, fine. You know what? Fine. I'm fine with that because they're doing something a little different with it, which is bringing technology into the mix. Fine. I'll give it to you. Fine. But majority of the narrative is focused on this supernatural aspect, this supernatural ghost who is haunting a website. Okay, so there's that concept. The second concept has to do with the Red Room guy. His actual name is Alistair, but he's also known as the Doctor, so I might use those interchangeably at some points. And the second concept or narrative is focused on him and his Red Room stuff, the deep web stuff, people looking to see other people tortured and killed for days on end. Like the disturbing cinema kind of stuff, like snuff, you know? That's what the other part of it is about. And they try to link these two, and perhaps they could have, but the execution of Feardotcom really, and I'm gonna be going into like some more depth here in a second, and I'm gonna try not to get ahead of myself any, but I want to focus on the fact that these are two completely different narratives that they're trying to force together. This Red Room guy, again, as I warned you, this one is probably going to be full of spoilers. So why the doctor is in this at all is because he is the guy that killed the woman, the spirit that is haunting Feardotcom, and that's it. That's literally he's just the guy that killed her, and that's it. And he gets so much focus for no reason. He has nothing to do with the curse. All he did was kill the chick. The movie's very focused on figuring out what's going on with Feardotcom. So like, while fucking Mulder and Scully are over here playing with ghosts, the doctor is just full on chillin', minding his own business, and still doing exactly what he's been doing, which are these Red Room live shows.
How enticing the smell of cheap perfume can be.
And nobody cares. No one cares. No one's even exactly looking for him. He is nothing to these people. They're running around trying to figure out the deal with this cursed website, and then just sometimes randomly we get the killer, the doctor, just doing his thing, and no one cares. No one's looking for him. It's almost like he should be in an entirely different film than this one. And then the ending, when they finally catch him, bro didn't even know he was getting chased. Bro is like brand new to everything that's happening.
Drop it now! Drop the fucking knife now!
Bless my soul.
He's been chilling and doing his own thing. The doctor's been vibing the whole time. No one's really been looking for him until like the very end. Like, yes, he somewhat has a part in the story. Somewhat. Because he is the guy who killed the girl who cursed the website. But the story isn't really about him at all. It's about the woman ghost who cursed the website. The narrative really doesn't focus on him at all, except for the very end. Just because he's the guy that killed this girl doesn't mean that he needs to have any kind of prominent role throughout the movie. And in fact, his presence is probably primarily what makes this movie so bad and confusing. The Ring did not include Samara's murderer. Did it? No. You know why? Because The Ring isn't about the people that murdered Samara. It's about Samara herself. Just like with Fear.com, this isn't about the doctor. It should just be about Jeannie. Why are we focusing so much on the fucking doctor that's not... Everyone just, they don't even know really that he exists. I have this theory. I feel like the doctor was purely added to attempt making the story edgy. Because that's really the only purpose that he serves. He is just some creep with a red room, which would be on like, what, level 2 of the disturbing movie iceberg? I don't know. But that's how it feels. It feels like he was only put there to have like edgier, just more disturbing scenes. And even that fails. You know why? Because despite being a movie about like the deep web and red rooms and I guess mostly I don't know. But despite all of that, it's R-rated. Right? And it was originally rated MA for extreme violence. What violence? This is like one of the least gory R-rated horror movies I've ever seen. And you don't see him torture her at all. He has, throughout the movie, he has like a new live victim that he's doing a live show for. Again, mind you, no one cares. No one's looking for him. He's just chilling and doing his thing. But the scenes that we see him, he's just monologuing.
The internet offers birth, sex, commerce, seduction, proselytizing, politics, posturing. Death is a logical component.
He's doing constant villain monologues. We never see, I would beg to say that we don't even ever see him like cut her, okay? We don't see him do anything except like put a gag on her and attempt very poorly chloroforming her. If you took out the doctor entirely, but you know, you still mention that the spirit with the cursed website, you know, was killed by a guy who does Red Room stuff. You can have that, and the guy who's doing the Red Room stuff doesn't have to be a part of the story at all, because the story's not exactly about him. Editor Rachel here. I wanted to add some additional input on like ideas or branches that they could have gone in to at least improve what's happening in this movie. So I was just discussing the Red Room guy and how like he doesn't even have to be a part of the story. Here's the thing, include him in a scene, like a backstory scene. The Ring has that, it works, fine. I think that makes sense because it helps to add context to the situation. I think if he gets included, it should be a very minor role. He serves way too prominent of a role in this movie. It should have just been like a backstory thing, you know? Number 2, I wanted to add the idea that like a way they could have done this and just completely obliterate the doctor, because in the next section I'm going to break down some of the shit that's added in this that just doesn't make sense. And a way that they could have avoided it is, bro, it's 2002. You know what was kind of still prominent in 2002? Chainmail. Why didn't they go like a chainmail route with this? That would have been genius. Anyway, that's all I have to add right here. But they want to make it about him because they want it to be edgy and disturbing, yet at the same time not showing anything that's edgy and disturbing. It's more just like the idea of this guy is what's supposed to be the shock factor. I don't know, man. I want to interview every single person that was behind this movie because I want answers. I want to know what they were thinking about. I want to know the whys. And the doctor is so detached from the story. He's so detached from the story. Would you like to hear how detached he is from the story? Because I am about to go into a little bit more detail of how nonsensical this fucking film is. This is the part that gives me a headache. Like, I can feel my blood rising when I start to think about this shit. I need to make sure my head is in the right space. Give me just 1 second. Because I need to slow down. And before I get right into this rant, I need to cover some bases for you guys so that we are on the same page. As I have mentioned plenty already, there is a website that is cursed, a la Ring style. Well, the Doctor also has a website, obviously, that he does his live shows on. And the connection that the film attempts to make between the two is that the cursed website is the Doctor's website, as if they are the same thing. The film proves several times how this is quite literally not the case and cannot be the case. Despite how often it seems that our protagonists, Mike and Terry, are referring to Feardotcom as the Doctor's website. People, they mention it so much. They're going to the Doctor's website to watch these live shows. But the film quite literally proves itself that they are fundamentally two completely separate websites. And can I see the possibility that maybe Feardotcom is one of the Doctor's old sites? Maybe. But then why would you not clarify that? Why are we speaking in the present tense as if this is actively still his website? The film shows you both of the websites several times, and appearances alone, they are two completely separate websites. They look nothing alike. One is very blue and glitchy. And again, despite being the one that's like more like The Ring, it has literal references to Saw in it. And then the Doctor's actual live show website is a little more gritty and red and focused on like knives and teeth and eyelashes and skin and like what someone might think a dark, seedy website would look like, I guess. So like they even look completely different, right? And you might be thinking, oh well, maybe that the stuff with Genie like shows up before you actually enter his website. No, we get to see the Doctor entering his own website, and we get to see all the steps that you take before actually getting to the live show. And with the cursed website, Feardotcom, is strictly just like this video. We actually don't get to see anything about how Feardotcom.com. I'm just gonna, as funny as it is, I'm just gonna keep to just Fear.com. We are shown nothing about how Fear.com was made. We kind of get some reasoning as to like why her spirit has the potential to like curse people and all of that mumbo jumbo. Like her energy and her pain suffered through her death on the Doctor's live show was so extreme that the energy was like transferred through computers. Science fiction bullshit, fine, I accept it. What I refuse to accept is any kind of notion that Fear.com and the Doctor's live show site are the same website, because they are not. We don't really know how Fear.com was created, if it was created by her spirit, or like I said, maybe that was one of his old live show sites. That's really the only possibility I can think of. And so, okay, let's say Fear.com is the Doctor's site, right? Let's say that because throughout the whole damn thing, they want to act like the Doctor is purposefully cursing people. That's how it reads to me. Again, I watched it a whole ass third time to make sure that I don't sound silly when I am sharing my opinion. But from what I gather, from what I understand, from what I interpret, from everything that goes on, is they believe the Doctor is the one who is doing this curse, at least for a good while. So why would the Doctor want to curse his own website? Let's go step by step on why it makes no sense for him to curse his own website. Alistair is basically a content creator for the deep web, and his audience gets to like pick what happens to the girl and everything. Really interactive, like Twitch chat going on. He has subscribers and everything. So one could assume Alistair's making some fucking cash off this shit. Now, riddle me, why would a guy doing Red Room shit and getting money for it, why would he want to curse his viewers? Why would he want his viewers to undergo a curse that makes them die in 2 days when he's getting money from them? Additionally, his subscriber count goes up a lot throughout the majority of the film. So again, it doesn't, so much discussion sounds like they are talking about Alistair's website itself being cursed, because they mention things of like, why would somebody go to a website like that? And there's discussion of morbid curiosity and people's darker most parts of themselves wanting to see death. So then why are all of the victims just completely unaware of like the Doctor's existence? Why are none of them shown seeing the actual live shows? None of them even mention it. It's just, I don't even know if I'm getting my points across about it correctly, because it's so confusing. Because they constantly discuss the cursed website as if the Doctor is behind it, when he very obviously is not. And so let's kind of cover maybe a point, an argument that somebody could make is that Genie is haunting his site and he doesn't know. But again, this falls flat when his subscriber count is constantly going up. He visits his own website in the movie several times, and she never pops up for him. The very end of the movie even proves the point that they are not the same website and that Alistair has no idea what the fuck is going on. I almost don't know if I want to spoil the end for you guys or not. But then again, the end is so abrupt and sudden and quick and just that whatever, I'm gonna spoil it. At the end of the movie, Mike decides to defeat the Doctor by pulling up Feardotcom and forcing the Doctor to look at the website, thus cursing himself. So does the film itself quite literally not prove how Alistair has nothing to do with any of this? I'm sorry. Like, if that was his website, he should have already been exposed to Jeannie, because Jeannie would have been adamant about only cursing him, more than likely, and not just like a bunch of random people. But also just the websites are not connected. The websites aren't connected. There's just multiple pieces of evidence throughout about how they are not the same website, even though they act like it is. I feel like I'm crazy. They act like it's the same site, and it quite literally is impossible for it to be the same site. We don't know what Alistair's website is called. We just know feardotcom.com. And again, if Alistair was removed completely from this movie, I think it would have actually succeeded better. Because with his inclusion, it's just, oh my god, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a confusing, frustrating mess. And if there is some kind of connection between the Doctor's website and feardotcom.com, then the film does a really piss poor job of showing it, because the only linkage that I can see whatsoever is just Jeannie, who is the spirit that has cursed the website. That is the one and only link, and it is hanging on by a fucking thread. Now, I feel like there could have been some stuff added that could link the two a little bit better if they wanted to, but they didn't. And again, honestly, I feel like if they had just thrown out Alistair, the Doctor, if they had just thrown him out entirely and just focused on the website aspect of this movie, I think it would have been way better. I definitely would have liked it a lot more, because again, with the Doctor being here and his website and him having the only fucking inclusion or connection that he has to everything else going on is just that he killed some chick. Okay. Again, it feels like he's only there to fill this void of something being a little bit more edgy and disturbing, while also at the same time not showing anything edgy and disturbing. It's really weird. It's really fucking frustrating. Now, I think this like website discussion is probably the biggest plot hole in the entire thing. That doesn't mean that it is the only one, because my god, is this not riddled with holes. Let me tell you about one other just short quick one that also really aggravates me. How about the fact that Detective Mike is familiar with the Doctor? He not only knows his whole history, but he knows this man's complete entire legal name.
His name's Alistair Pratt. He was thrown out of medical school. 9 months he fucked with me.
But he needs a ghost to be able to tell him what apartment this man lives in. You know his entire name. You know his entire ass name. And your excuse for not finding him yet, even though he's very clearly within your jurisdiction, your excuse for not finding him yet is that his websites go away so fast, we can't trace him, we can't track him.
After every killing, he changed his site. We couldn't trace him.
1, the websites seem to be live for days. It's not like, oh, he gets a new website every few hours. On his website, he has a schedule for the month. A month isn't enough time to trace a website? Number 2, you have this man's full ass name. You have his full ass name. You know his whole ass history. You're telling me that a police officer, a detective, cannot find the address, the apartment of someone whose full ass name he knows? Of somebody who has like records with like a local medical school? Like, you really can't find him? You can't find him on your own? You need a ghost to tell you his address? I find that incredibly hard to believe. And okay, I get it. The little fucking smoke chimney that he actually does the stuff in, yeah, that would be what's hard to find. But they don't find that first. They find his apartment first. And how could you have not found that? How could you have not found that without the supernatural being involved? I'm sorry. Like, anyone can do that kind of shit on the internet nowadays. You're telling me that a detective in 2002 did not have the ability to find the address of a person within his jurisdiction whose whole ass name that he knows? And, you know, again, there are some other plot holes in there, a lot more aggravating moments, but I do feel like these are some of the more prominent ones. And you know what else is aggravating? If you hate protagonists that do every single thing they are asked not to do, especially in a horror movie, maybe stay away from this one, because every single... I won't say cast member, because obviously the actors and actresses are probably not stupid themselves. I mean the characters when I say cast. Everyone in this cast is brain dead. Brain dead. There's not even a single brain cell to share within the entirety of this movie. You will get so aggravated over these characters. They are so stupid. Every single one of them also just completely lacks survival skills. No one has a single ounce of survival skills in them. I think in my recent memory, the only movie that I have seen where the characters are so stupid, so pointless, so aggravating, lacking survival skills. The last thing that I saw like that was Blood and Honey. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen my Blood and Honey review, perhaps take this as an opportunity to go watch that. I think one of the better parts of the film, which again is going to be aggravating to some people, but I do think one of the better parts of the film is the humor behind the fact that the two protagonists, they will tell each other not to do something that is very dangerous and will get them killed. And in the literal very next scene is that character doing exactly what they were told not to do.
Can you promise me one thing? That you won't visit that site?
Am I like watching Harry Potter?
She was a happy child, despite her condition.
That part is a little bit comical, to me at least. The constant, don't do this!
You don't go there, all right? Promise me.
Don't do it! Like screaming,
Tell me you won't go there!
don't!
Don't go there! Promise me you won't go there!
And the very next scene is them doing exactly that. But none of them is as stupid as the doctor's alive victim that we see throughout the movie. I believe her name is Karen, and this woman lacks any survival skills. She head empty. The whole ass chain of events leading up to the doctor very poorly chloroforming her.
I'm sorry. I'm being inconsiderate, making you uncomfortable. I'm so used to seeing the world through a lens, I forget how intimidating a camera can be. Well, I was filming you because you happen to be the perfect leading lady. Why don't you come by the theater tonight? I'll put you in front of the camera, see what happens.
All those red flags and no sirens. No sirens. So yeah, if you do not like movies where all the characters are just stupid, then that might be a good reason to stay away from Feardotcom. And I did not know where else to put this, so I'm putting it here kind of at the end, which is that discussion of it being Feardotcom.com. So this is like one of the only things that I feel like I remember someone talking about with this film. But the writers called this thing just Fear.com. And they did that with the intention that later they would get the rights to Fear.com, and that would be the website for the movie. What a surprise! That domain is already taken. So what do? Do you think that they changed their movie title? Which is probably what I would have done. No, I think we've all realized what they decided to go with instead, which is feardotcom.com. I'm sorry, but seeing feardotcom.com multiple times in this movie that is attempting to be dark and serious and gruesome is the most unserious, silly, funny thing to come out of this. Every time that I had to see a character type in fear.com.com, why wouldn't you just change the title? You could just change the title. Are you really that dead set on it being fear.com that you will accept the silliness and the ridiculousness and the unseriousness of this now being fear.com.com? You could have changed the title. I'm like in tears over this because it's so funny. The movie is so serious. The movie is trying to be so serious and so dark. And then you have to watch people type in fear.com.com. I mean, I'm saying this with my whole heart. Just change the title of the movie at that point. I would have changed the title. If I made the assumption that for some reason fear.com is not an already taken domain, I would have changed it. The moment that I found out fear.com was taken, I would have changed the title. I'm sorry. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just built different. But if I wanted some kind of serious crime-based The Ring plus Saw knockoff, then I wouldn't give it the most silly, goofy title that is so easy for people to make fun of. Okay, so overall, I think the only positives that I have to share about this movie, the aesthetic choices for the movie are good. I like them. I like the grittiness. I like the colors. I like that it's dark while not being too dark. Okay, that is one positive that I will give this film. Actually, I will give it two positives because Jeffrey Combs is in it. I love my boy Jeffrey Combs. So those are two positives that I have about this movie, is that the aesthetic is nice and it has Jeffrey Combs. That's kind of it though. Overall, not only was I kind of bored, because it is a little bit slow. Like, it's based on more crime horror like you would see from Saw. Overall though, I would say that this movie is just really aggravating. It's confusing. I think it tries to do too much, and that is just really where it's, kind of become a failure. I mean, there are directions you could have taken this film where it would have been an A-okay film, maybe a little bit cheesy and campy and only for the people with poor taste like myself. Even if you have poor taste, even if you have bad taste, there's not a whole lot that's redeemable about this movie. Like, it's, again, completely taking two varying concepts and forcing them together. And it really doesn't work, man. I think they would have been fine as separate movies, especially where this one focuses way more on the supernatural aspect and being the Ring knockoff. That is what a lot of this movie is focused on, and all of this like disturbing, edgy content with the Doctor is shoehorned in there really, really hard. And it ends up like muddying the waters almost. Like, it's just, if that was taken out and this was just solely that Ring knockoff and we don't give a shit who the killer is, I think this movie would have done a lot better. But because there's that forced second concept that they're trying to squeeze in there, it just, man, it really doesn't work. Could there have been some ways that they could have connected the ties a little bit better? I think it could be possible, but I don't think it would be anything that could save the film. You know what I mean? I think the only way you could save this movie is if you completely take out the Doctor and just focus on what the main narrative is, which is the cursed website. Like, that's enough. That's enough. They're trying to do too much. I think that's really the main problem. They're just trying to do too much in this movie. There's one tier that I want to put this at, but anytime I think about it, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel deserving. I think a more fair rating to put this movie at would be I'm gonna give it a D tier. Yeah. I kind of went back and forth on whether I should do a C tier or a D tier for Feardotcom, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot to praise about the movie. I'm so sorry. I had to watch the thing 3 times, and the 3rd time, like I said, was just to make sure that I'm not stupid. Maybe I am still stupid and there is a lot of stuff that I found wrong, but from other people's reviews, I don't think I'm the problem. I think the movie is the problem, and it's just the only time that I would ever rewatch this is to force somebody else to rewatch it, and it wouldn't even be for joy. I would want them to be miserable. I would show this to them being like, hey, do you want to see something you know what, I won't say infuriating, because Blood and Honey was infuriating. This did not make me quite as angry, but I did feel frustrated, so I might be like, hey, do you want to watch a horror movie that is frustrating and confusing? Here's Feardotcom. Essentially, the only way I'm watching this one again is if I want to make one of my friends miserable. And with that, we are done with yet another movie review. Thank you guys so much if you stayed all the way until the very end. I really, really appreciate it. If you liked this video, make sure that you stab that like button. It is a free and easy way to help support this channel. And if you just like this video so much that you want to hear me ramble about more bad movies, obscure movies, disturbing cinema, then consider hitting the subscribe button along with that bell icon so you can be notified every time that I make a new upload. And those new uploads tend to be once a week. Every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have a new movie review. However, if my work schedule is a little bit hectic one week, then I might not get to upload until Saturday. Also, is there a movie that you have to recommend me to review on this channel? Put it in the comments down below and you might see it covered in the future. Thank you guys so much to anyone who considers doing this. I have not gone live in a really long time, but I will still continue to plug it in every video because it is a goal of mine. On the screen, you will see my Twitch and my YouTube. It will also be linked in the description. Again, the days vary on when I go live, just depending on my work schedule. But if I do go live, you can catch me around 6 to 6:30 Eastern Standard Time PM. And if you want to keep updated on when I might be going live or when I might be doing anything, check out my social medias. I'm mostly active on Instagram. I do need to start using TikTok some more, but here they are if you feel so inclined to follow me there. Again, I just want to thank you guys so much for making it all the way until the very end. Our time here is really precious. We don't have a whole lot of it, and the fact that you just used your time to sit here and watch me basically semi-scream about a rancid ass horror movie, just thank you. I appreciate it so much. I really appreciate you for your time. If I do not catch you guys in a live stream, then I will see you in next week's video, but until then, have a good night and stay safe out there.
What happens if I lose?
You die.